guys, welcome back to the MCU HQ. Today I'm doing another tier list. Moon Knight and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness have wrapped up. They are out, and now we have new heroes and new villains. So I'm doing a tier list. I'm actually doing two. I'm going to upload them a week apart, but we have the MCU villains tier list. We're going to start with that. And just by the way, shout out to the guy who actually made this tier list, because, I mean, he didn't leave anyone out. Every little, minor inconvenience villain is on this tier list. It's insane. But let's hop into this. Let's not waste any more time. Our tiers today, we have S, A, B, C, D, F. Just start basic, and then later we'll mess with our tiers a bit more. So we have all the villains here from Iron Man all the way up through Multiverse of Madness and Moon Knight here. And we kick it all off with everyone's favorite terrorist, Raza from the original Iron Man. And something you're going to find out is a lot of these villains suck. So they're going to be lower on the tier list, but whatever. That's not the point. Raza. Here's the thing. Raza works when he's furthering, because he exists purely to further Tony's arc. And once Tony becomes Iron Man, there's no more need for Raza. So he's cool in that regard. Also, the actor who plays him knocked it out of the park on Raza. But there really isn't anything to him, is he? He's just, terrorist dude. But I mean, I guess that works when you're a terrorist. You literally are just terrorist dude. And based off the fact that he is the reason Iron Man exists, I'm going to put him in C. We're starting off strong here. Now we go to, and by strong I mean we're starting off at C. But I mean, we could be starting off at F. Okay, moving on. We have Mysterio. Now, I have said a lot about Spider-Man Far From Home in the past, and we'll continue to say more about Spider-Man Far From Home in the future. But I don't think Mysterio is too bad of a villain. I think he is a great character before the reveal that he's a villain, then after the reveal he does kind of become one note. So the only thing preventing me putting him in A is that he's not as interesting after it's revealed that he is a villain. His look also gives him a boost. And just Jake Gyllenhaal having so much fun with the role. I feel like I have to go B for Mysterio there. And now we have Corvus Glaive, the first of our children of Thanos. All four of them should be on here because, as I said, there's not a single antagonist who is not on here. They had every single one of them. Even the dragon from Shang-Chi is down here. So here's what we got now. The Curious Case of Corvus Glaive. Here's the thing. I want to put him in C for Corvus, but also he sucks. So I'm putting him in F because he's kind of just a nothing. And he's just there so that way Wanda, Vision, and Cap have someone to fight. Moving on to Eric Killmonger, and now we're getting to some good shit. A. I mean, of course, A. Of course Killmonger's going to go in A. He's one of the best villains they've had. And Michael B. Jordan knocks it out of the park. I think the thing that's preventing him from going in S is there's been a couple villains that have just managed to be even better in a way that they kind of overshadow Killmonger. And so it's like, yeah, Killmonger becomes a bit more forgettable. But it's not even his fault. It's just how great some of the villains after him were. But you'll see what I mean. So Killmonger going in A. Solid performance. I'd probably like him better as a villain if the final fight wasn't just Black Panther versus Black Panther. Whatever. Moving on to Shocker 1. The original Shocker. Or both Shockers on here. If both Shockers are on here, that'd be awesome. I don't know if both Shockers are on here. I can't tell. But I'll tell you right now where Shocker's going. Bada bing, bada boom, F. Who even cares about Shocker? He's kind of like big. Oh my God, both Shockers are on here. But yeah, the first Shocker, he's nothing. He's not even a character. He's just a guy that exists to get disintegrated and have a fun chase scene with Spider-Man. So that's cool. Moving on, we have the Collector. There's two Collectors on here because we have the What If Collector also. But Tanlier, Tavon, Benicio del Toro, main timeline Collector. What do I think of him? Well, he's not that interesting of a character. I mean, granted, we've only seen him a couple times. but Benicio del Toro just does the role so well. I can't give him an F. I can't give him an F. But is he really a villain? Let's be real here. I want to give him a C just because he was so much fun in Guardians of the Galaxy, but I feel like I need to give him a D because he's not really a threat and he just gives exposition. So I'm going to put him in D. Sorry, any Collector fans. And that brings us to Mr. Ultron from the week of Ultron, the couple days of Ultron, the minor inconvenience of Ultron here. And the way I see it, there's two Ultrons. There's cool Ultron, which we see in his first scene and his last scene with Vision. And then there's the other Ultrons. Ultron, if it was just, how he was in that, first scene, he'd be an S-tier villain. But unfortunately, he's not like that. I am tempted to put him in B, because I have always kind of had a soft spot for Ultron. I think I will put him in B. I like Ultron. Sue me, I do think he's kind of fun. And that brings us to Mr. Robert Redford, who is such a cool villain because he's just a normal guy. And as you'll see with a villain we're going to get to on this list in a sec, normal guys can do the most damage. It's awesome. And the way he destroys S.H.I.E.L.D. from an office building. Absolute badass. He's going in C. I know I hyped him up to be higher, but he's going in C just because he gets overshadowed by the other villain in that movie. And that brings us to Curse. Good old Curse. What is Curse? Curse is nothing. Curse is straight up nothing. Curse exists to ransack Asgard and kill Thor's mom, but he looks cool while doing it. I'm putting him in F, though, because he's nothing. He's just a giant rage monster. And now we have Goliath from Loki, and with that, we need to make ourselves a new tier. So let's make a new tier. Add a row below, and then in this row, let's pick a good color here. Let's do like that weird pink color, and we're gonna call it. No, we're gonna call it Giant CGI Monster. What? There we go. Giant CGI Monster. Now, what is this tier reserved for? This is reserved for, you guessed it, giant CGI monsters. So, just gonna put Goliath there. It's the villain that really, they're just straight up CGI. They don't really have any character or personality of any kind. And they're there just as a little obstacle for the main character to overcome. They are not the main villain in any way. Sometimes they can be the main villain's henchman or the ultimate boss after the main villain, but for the most part, they are just a giant CGI monster. And the reason I put them at the bottom is because even though some of these giant CGI monsters are cool, for example, Dormammu, who we'll get to, Goliath is kind of cool too, they aren't really anything. So they get to go all the way at the bottom. And that brings us to Goliath. Let's just take Goliath and put him in F. Because Goliath is such a bad villain. He had so much potential too. I feel like of the three villains, Ant-Man and the Wasp, he had the most potential, but we never see him grow. We don't see him do anything. He's I don't even know. I couldn't even tell you what his character is. I couldn't. But when they say Goliath is in the movie, I'm like, oh, so we're going to get Giant Man versus Giant Man fight? Nope, we don't get anything. And due to the fact that I could not tell you a single one of Goliath's character traits, he gets to go in F. Yet another horrible villain. And that brings us to Arnim Zola. Arnim Zola in the first Cap movie, not that great. Arnim Zola in Captain America the Winter Soldier, terrifying. And Arnim Zola in What If is funny. So if we just combine all three of those, we get a guy who I honestly think is deserving of going in C tier. Because C, that's right in the middle. There's 3 tiers below it, 3 tiers above it. So, yeah, it makes for... I think that's not that bad of a placement, honestly. Now that brings us to Ulysses Claw. Sad part of Ulysses Claw is he's one of Black Panther's biggest villains, and he was killed in the first half of Black Panther. Now, what's his name? Andy Serkis. was having fun with the role, and Claw was fun when he was on screen, but he wasn't anything. So as much as it pains me to put him in D, I feel like we have to, because we don't really see... No, I'm putting him in C, because he's fun. He is kind of fun. It is a joy to watch him. And with that, my friends, we have Aisha. Now, Aisha, we need a new category. We need a new category here. Let's put it under giant CGI monster, because this is going to be reserved for characters that just aren't fun. So add a row below, and we got to go with I'm going to make it a weird gray color. Now we are going to call this one Villain Designed to Kill Time for Some Reason. Villain designed to kill time for some reason. What does that mean? It means they put him in there just for the sake of having a villain that can waste time, who doesn't actually do anything. And Aisha is going in that category. And I'm shaving the title down. Just there to kill time. Yep. They really have no relevance to the story. They have no reason to be there, but they're there because for some reason we need to waste time, and Aisha is the prime example of that. She just provides a little conflict throughout the story, and then she shows up at the final battle, just get taken out like 10 seconds later, because she's just there to add a couple minutes to the runtime. She doesn't do anything. So she's going and just there to kill time. And that's the reason it's below giant CGI monster, is that because, as I said earlier, boring. Zemo. I love Zemo. It's also worth mentioning where I put them on the tier list is not like a ranking. It's just I'm throwing them in that category. I'm not actually organizing them within that category. Just feel like I should say that now. So, Helmet, Zemo. I love Zemo. A lot of people don't like Zemo, but Zemo broke the Avengers without having to lift a finger. A for Zemo. He's a great villain. The only thing that would have made him better is if we saw his backstory instead of hearing his backstory, but that's okay. And that brings us to Batroc, just there to kill time. In both Winter Soldier and Falcon and the Winter Soldier, he's just there to kill time. He doesn't do anything in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and they devote so much screen time to him because just like everything else in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, they're trying to pad out their 2.5 hour runtime into a 5-hour TV show, so we get people like Batroc. What does Batroc even do in the show? Moving on to Taskmaster. This is funny because the guy right after Taskmaster is the cool version of Taskmaster, basically. Taskmaster is one of my favorite villains, and Black Widow screwed Taskmaster up. I don't even have an issue with the gender bending of Taskmaster. That's not my issue. There's a story reason why Taskmaster's gender bent. My issue is that Taskmaster doesn't speak. They did the X-Men Origins Wolverine Deadpool treatment on Taskmaster. And Taskmaster only actually mimics the person she's fighting once in the movie, and that's the first fight with Black Widow. After that, it's only different character fan service so we can do the Leonardo DiCaprio pointing thing. It's not Taskmaster. It's Taskmaster in name only. Also, I mean, I will give Taskmaster credit for the look. I do like how she looks. As much as I want to go F, the fact that Taskmaster actually does stuff and when she shows up, you do kind of feel a presence, I have to go D. But it's really sad because Taskmaster should be S or A. And with that, we get the Winter Soldier, which is A, which I feel like is what they really wanted Taskmaster to be, and wasn't. So Winter Soldier, great. The highway fight alone is the reason Winter Soldier is so high. And that brings us to... I can't remember his name, but it's the bald extremist guy from Iron Man 3. Is his name Savin? Might be Savin. Now, I will say, the fact that he actually does contribute to the main plot line of this film in a very, big capacity, because he helps blow up the house. He doesn't blow up Happy, but he's there. He kidnaps Harley, and he blows the hole in Air Force One. For that reason, I can't put him in just there to kill time, because if you take him out of Iron Man 3, shit's completely different. So, I think I'm going to say D for him. Because he is cool enough. He does enough damage that it does make him memorable enough. But, like, he's not S, A, B, or C. We have not had any S's yet. Now, moving on. Tannelier Tavon from What If. Awful. I don't like him. I don't want to talk about him. And now we get to Crossbones, who is in this just to kill time. He's only in Civil War because they need a little villain to fight. But the fact that his mission and what happens surrounding that becomes the catalyst for the entire movie, this man ain't going in just there to kill time. He's going 2 spots higher in F. Because they don't do anything with him. He should have been in more of the movie, so he's going in F. And that brings us to Cull Obsidian, who also gets to go in F, because once again, he's an absolutely nothing character. And from Cull Obsidian, we go down to Mads Mickelson Kycilius, who is amazing in the comic, like the prelude comic for Doctor Strange, but is not in the movie. He's just an evil version of the good guy, and we don't really know why he's doing what he's doing, so he gets to go in D. The fact that he can change the fabric of reality puts him above F. And now we get to Doctor Strange Supreme right here. Now I struggle on if I should put him in S or A, because he is one of the best villains. I don't know if he deserves S, because we don't really have enough time to sit with him. So I think I'll put him in A, because we only get like 20 minutes of him, 30 minutes of him. And that brings us to Dormammu. Sorry, Dormammu, you're a giant CGI monster. That's really all you are. Hopefully in Doctor Strange 3, you become more than that. And now we go to Ellen Brandt from Iron Man 3, who also gets to... No, actually, she gets to go in just there to kill time. Because they could have just given her role to Savin, and it would have been cool. They introduced another Extremis soldier to fight Tony when they already had Savin, who was cool, and they could have just combined those 2 characters. She is there to kill time. General Dreykov, get the hell in F. What a horrible villain. Accent aside, he's just not a good villain. He has no personality, he's nothing, and the whole reason no one can kill him is because he smells like shit. Okay, moving on, this thing right here, I can only assume is the dragon from Shang-Chi. It's a giant CGI monster, and it's there so Shang-Chi can use the rings. That moves us to Ebony Maw. Oh my god, we have a lot of these guys. Holy shit, we're not even close. That brings us to Ebony Maw, who I like. I love Ebony Maw. So he gets to go above the other children of Thanos. I'm only putting him in D, because he doesn't do much, man. He gets offed so quickly in the movie. It's a bummer, because I loved him. I would have loved to see a rematch between him and Doctor Strange. And now we have Ego the Living Planet, who I think is very cool. I'm putting him in B, up there with Mysterio and Ultron. I really like Ego the Living Planet. And I kind of like the twist that, we don't even know who the villain is for most of the movie, even though, I knew, most people knew it was Ego, because it's Ego the Living Planet. But I think he just has so much charisma to make up from a relatively not too exciting storyline. But the fact that he thinks this is his meaning and will stop at nothing to fulfill his meaning, that works, I guess. Ghost! Good old Ghost. Ghost. Ant-Man and the Wasp has the three of the worst villains that the MCU has ever had. But does she deserve to be in F? Yes, she does. We're putting her in F. She deserves to be in F. Now we get He Who Remains. Now, I wanted to put He Who Remains really low, but here's the thing. Jonathan Majors does so good in that role. He has so much fun. I cannot bring myself to put him that low. But just because we only got 1 episode of him and we didn't see too much of him, it would be wrong for me to put him too high. I think he can fit right in the middle at C, just right halfway down the list there. Loki, you get your ass in S tier right now. Loki is a great character. He's such a good character. His character arc is great, and he's had so many appearances. He deserves to be an S. I love Loki. Why would I not want to put Loki in S? Jasper Sitwell, he's in Winter Soldier. Yeah. I mean, he's not really just there to waste time, because we had seen him previously. No, we hadn't. Wait, no. Because he wasn't in Avengers. And if you didn't see the one-shots, the first time you ever saw Jasper Sitwell was in Winter Soldier. But Jasper Sitwell being there, the cool part is he's there to get killed so we can have the highway fight. So is he just there to kill time, or is he useful to the plot? Easy, he's just there to kill time. And that brings us to U.S. Agent. I'm going to be real with you guys. I love U.S. Agent. I think he's one of the coolest MCU villains. I don't think he's our top tier of MCU villains. Also, it's worth noting, the tier list does not necessarily rank my personal opinion. If I was doing a top 10 list, Loki would not be at the top. He would be a few spots down. But also just the writing of the villains and just how well their arcs are and how they're constructed factors into this. I'm trying to look at this almost more objectively than subjectively, and I feel like Loki deserves S. So just want to say that now. I'm not sure why that's relevant, but it might be later. U.S. Agent, I think I'm going to put him in A. I am a U.S. Agent stan. I love U.S. Agent. And then we have down here Renslayer. Judge Renslayer, who is really just nothing, isn't she? But I'm going to put her in D. I'm going to put her in D because I think she's effective enough as a villain, and she's not really the main purpose of that story, so that's why she's, not high up, but she's effective enough to warrant not being an F. She is actually memorable. Nebula. How do you not like Nebula? I'm sorry, I gotta put Nebula in B or C, B or C, B or C. I wish I could do a middle, but I can't. B or C. C. I think she's a C villain, but like a B hero. That's what I'm gonna go with. Now, we have Carly Morgenthau, whatever. What's her name? I don't remember her name. Carly from Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Is a horrible character. She is so bad. She's so forgettable. Her motive starts off cool of, we need to, fix this issue. And it's yeah, I get that. And then she just becomes less and less of an interesting character as time goes on, to the point that I don't care. And they try to set it up as this big thing of, oh crap, her dying is supposed to mean something, and it doesn't. Her ass can go all the way in F. And now we have Aldrich Killian. I love Guy Pearce. He's a good actor. But I don't think Aldrich Killian is that cool of a villain in particular. But, Extremis dudes are cool. They are pretty cool. I'm going to put him in D. Because he's so much of an evil presence throughout the movie, and this very threatening and dangerous character, that I'm I'm putting him in C. We're going C. Because just like I said, he's that memorable and threatening of a character. And that brings us to Korath, who is just there to kill time. And then Laufey the Frost Giant. Gotta love Laufey. Not really. You don't. But he's too important to the story of Thor to be put in giant in any of the bottom 3 categories. And he's not a giant CGI monster, so he's pretty much disqualified from that. I think I'm gonna put him. I don't know where to F. He goes in F. He's not a character. He's just a guy. He's there for the sake of Loki, but he's not there to kill time because his character being there is actually important to the premise of the story, but he's not fleshed out. I don't know. It's complicated. He's going in F. Malakith the Accursed. Oh, we need a new tier, actually. This is a good time to introduce our new tier. And then we have... Let's change this to Malakith. And change the color to just shitty color. A horrible color. That's too dark. You can't even see that. Let's go white. White. Malakith. Malakith can get in white. This dude is the single worst villain that the MCU has ever had. What's Malakith's goals? What's Malakith's character? I'm waiting. Someone tell me. While you guys think of what to say, I'm going to move on to Jan Rog, who's an F. He's awful. I hate him. But I like Jude Law. So he's above Malakith tier. Hank Pym. Oh my god, we're not even close to done. Whew. This is going to be a while, folks. This is going to be a while. Alright, Hank Pym from What If. He's going to go in D. Here's why he's going to go in D. Almost every What If villain is going to inevitably be low on the list besides Doctor Strange Supreme because they have no time to be fleshed out at all. And so Hank Pym is such a terrifying villain, but I don't know why he's a villain. Because it's okay. Hope died for S.H.I.E.L.D. But is that, like, exciting enough? I feel like that's not exciting enough. I'll put him in C, just because he does so much damage. Okay. Proxima Midnight. Where's my children of Thanos? F. Actually, you know what I kind of want to do? I kind of want to do something just for the sake of organizing this. My children of Thanos get to go down here. Except Ebony Maw. Ebony Maw gets to stay where he is because he is pretty cool. What's a color we haven't used? We're kind of running out of colors here, aren't we? I guess I could do that color. That's not bad. That's actually not bad. I kind of dig that. Yeah, Children of Thanos get to go there. Because they're nothing, really. They really aren't anything. Ebony Maw's cool, though. He gets to stay where he is. Okay, moving on. Hela. B for Hela. I want to put her in A, but I feel like her motivation starts off good. I'm the god of death. This is my purpose. And that's it. We don't get any characterization for her besides just killing stuff. But I mean, she is the god of death, so the fact that she is fulfilling her purpose puts her right there in B. Alright, I'm going to try to move this along. Obadiah Ironmonger Stane is cool. Sue me. He gets more boring when you think about the fact that like half the villains since then have just been rip-offs of him. But at the time, I liked Ironmonger. He's going in B. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you guys don't like that, but that's just where I'm putting him. He gets to go in B. I like Ironmonger. Go away. The Tinkerer. Hi, F. Because he's not here to waste time. He's actually important to the story. Without him, Vulture can't do some of the stuff he does, so Tinkerer gets to go in F. And that brings us, my friends, to Trevor Slattery. No, I'm kidding. Trevor Slattery is not going in S. He's fun, so he gets to go in D. Sorry, Trevor Slattery fans. He gets to go in D. And that brings us to Razor Fist. Razor Fist, my friends, is just there to waste time. The Vice President from Iron Man 3, who's also on here, is just there to kill time. Justin Hammer. Justin Hammer would be an F if it wasn't for his weapons demonstration to Rhodey. And just for that scene alone, he gets to go in C. And that brings us to Agatha Harkness. Okay. Catherine Hahn does great as Agatha Harkness, okay? She is like, they could not have gotten a better person to play that character. Catherine Hahn's a damn genius. But damn, is Agatha a horrible, horrible villain. She has no discernible motive besides, I guess, just siphoning Wanda's power? I don't really know why she's doing what she's doing or why she wants to do that. But she's fun. I'll put her in C. Because she's fun. Ooh, we're lagging a bit. Samuel Stern. He's not even a villain. He's really not. He's going in F. Because he's funny in Iron Man 2. Death Dealer looks cool. And if he went out in a more satisfying way, I would like it. Because he has this big emotional conflict with Shang-Chi where he was beating Shang-Chi all the time. That wasn't fun. I don't want to see Shang-Chi get hurt. And so that's cool. But then he gets his soul sucked by a dragon, drops to the ground, and that's the end of the Death Dealer. But the fact that for a good chunk of the movie, he was that silent badass, and he was so good at martial arts and how important he was to Shang-Chi, I'm going to put him in D. Wenwu. Wenwu's not going in F. I just have to scroll up because this is a long list. S for Wenwu. Arguably the only villain who's actually better than Thanos. I love this guy. I love his plan. He's just such a badass. Tony Leung is great casting. The actual Shocker can also go in F with his other Shocker buddy. Walton Goggins, just there to kill time. Vulture. Vulture. You gotta love Vulture. Vulture can go up in A. I love me some Vulture. No. Vulture can go in S. I love me some Vulture. Vulture's a great villain. He is of the three villains in the... Or of Vulture and Mysterio, right? Of the MCU Spider-Man villains. Vulture's the one that makes the most sense to actually be impacted by Tony Stark. Mysterio is only impacted by Tony Stark because Sony wanted to make an Iron Man movie. Vulture is impacted by the world around him. And that's a cool concept. So Vulture gets to go in S. He's a great villain. You've had 3 S villains so far, and oh my god, we ain't done yet. Malakith is not alone on Malakith tier any longer. I already forgot the name of that character. The Supreme Intelligence. Okay. Surtur, giant CGI monster. Taserface. Oh my god. I can't bring myself to put Taserface in F because he's so funny. But he deserves to go in F because that's all he is, really. No, I'll put him in D. He can go in D. Okay. Ross. Ross is actually, not gonna lie, a great villain. We're C. I think I'm gonna put him in C because, as I said, C's middle of the road. And he's an effective antagonist. R.I.P. William Hurt. Thanos. No debate about it. Come here, Thanos. Get all the way up in S where you belong. Yes. That brings us to Abomination. Abomination. Abomination would be giant CGI monster if he wasn't already a character that we had known in the rest of the movie. Emil Blonsky, who just wants power, and more power, and then gets to fight the Hulk, and that one-on-one fight is badass. I love it. That's really all his character is, right? He just wants some more power. But damn, I love him. I love The Incredible Hulk, too. I think The Incredible Hulk's a very underrated movie. I'm putting him in D. I like Abomination. Sue me. The Grand Master can go in C, because Jeff Goldblum kills the role. He makes it great. The Melter is just there to kill time. She's the definition of just there to kill time. Director Dickwad Hayward. Oh boy. He would be in like C. If the final episode didn't have him attempting to shoot children, he's going in F. And that brings us to Whiplash, who's a nobody. So Whiplash can also go in F. He's not cool. White Vision. is only cool because of Ship of Theseus, but that's it. He has no character, he has no personality. I know that's the point of the character, but it's boring. So he goes in F. Ronan the Accuser. Ronan the Accuser also gets to go in F tier, by the way. Yes, he gets to go in F. And that brings us to Strucker, who's just there to kill time. He gets killed off at the start of Age of Ultron and is not important to the story after that. He is the dictionary definition of just there to kill time. So that brings us to Yellowjacket, who's not exciting. He's not. He's really not. I'm going to put him in D because I like people who can shrink. They're fun. And that brings us to Red Skull. I'm going to put Red Skull in B because I actually do kind of enjoy Red Skull as a villain. His whole power of the god shtick, kind of dig that. I like villains who try to play God. That's cool. Zombie Wanda, there to kill time. Killmonger, this isn't even the same Killmonger. It's a different Killmonger. So we have two Killmongers on the list. So I'm going to drop him. He's not staying in B. I'm going to put him there just momentarily while I think this through. I'm going to put him in, like, C. Because his plan's cool. He's still a cool villain, but, like, we should have had more time with him. That brings us to Ultron from What If. Now, why is he an F? Because they don't develop him at all as a character. And I'm going to leave it at that. Icarus from Eternals. Not a great villain. Eternals has some horrible villains. Horrible villains. I do think Icarus does have a level of complexity to him that does make him cooler than some villains, so he's definitely not going in F. I think I'm going to put him in C. I'm going to be generous with Eternals here, just because I kind of like this whole idea of he doesn't want to do this, but he is supposed to do this. He's so, like, for his duty that he can't help himself, and I'm putting him in C. That brings us to Arishem, who is a giant CGI monster. And then we have Crow from Eternals. Did you know his name is Crow? Because I didn't know until I looked at the toys. He's going in just there to kill time. He kills Gilgamesh and Ajak. And you're like, oh, this dude means business. He really doesn't. Because then Thena just cuts him down. And sure, she slices him to bits in a really cool way. But by that point, he's so irrelevant and he's only in the movie to have a fight. And he has no bearing on this story at all. Now that brings us to Lizard, and Lizard's an interesting specimen. By the way, we're almost done. I'm very happy. Lizard's a very interesting specimen because you could say he's a giant CGI monster, right? But he's also just there to kill time. What he's there to be is a fifth villain. Plain and simple. He's there just to be a fifth villain. I'm going to say he's just there to kill time, because that's his point. They need another villain. They need someone else for the Spider-Man to face. That's what Lizard's for. Green Goblin is going to the top, to S. This dude is an absolute Chad, this guy. I love me Green Goblin. He is one of the best MCU villains, and he's not even from the MCU. He deserves S. Also, I think I'm going to move Vulture to A. Just decided in my mind to put him in A. So, yeah, Green Goblin goes in S. And then Doc Ock here. Doc Ock's going to go in B. He's only going in B because of Alfred Molina's performance. Because the rest of his character in the movie relies on you knowing the other Spider-Man movies. He doesn't have too much depth in this movie. But he's hilarious. And the scene when the inhibitor chip gets repaired is so well done, and Alfred Molina is so good in the role, he gets boosted all the way to B. Electro! I don't know. See, Electro is more fun than just there to kill time, and he actually is important. Like, they actually struggle to defeat him, and they need Doc Ock to come in, so he is kind of crucial. I'm gonna put him in D. I think D's fair. Sandman, just there to kill time. Love Sandman, the Raimi trilogy. He's pretty boring in this. Scarlet Witch. Scarlet Witch. Get your butt an S. I love Scarlet. She is one of the best MCU villains. I am really sorry if you haven't seen Multiverse of Madness, because I just spoiled that for you. But she is one of the best MCU villains. I love what they did with Wanda in that movie and the way it carries over from WandaVision, that storyline. They did her so much justice. And even though it hurts to see Wanda go to the dark side, she's so good as an evil person. And shout out to Elizabeth Olsen, just for existing. Now, Sinister Strange. I like Sinister Strange. I think Sinister Strange is actually pretty cool. I'm going to put him middle of the road, because we don't really have enough time to sit with him and get to know him. But the sinister aspect, I love it. And him guarding the Darkhold, and his just desire for Christine. And then, I mean, he also gets to be a part of the music fight, so who wouldn't love that? So I'm putting him in C. Vera Farmiga, Eleanor Bishop. What does she want? I don't know. F. Arthur Harrow is interesting. I know I gave Moon Knight an A+. But Arthur Harrow is not an S villain. I think Arthur Harrow is a B villain. Now, Arthur Harrow would be a C villain if Ethan Hawke was not so threatening and commanding in his performance. That puts Arthur Harrow at a B, I feel. Gargantos, giant CGI monster. Amit, giant CGI monster. Okay, now we have a bit of discussing to do here, because we have Kingpin. Now, if the Netflix shows were a part of this, Kingpin would be an S. But judging by the fact that the tier list is only movies and Disney Plus shows, that's going based fully on the assumption that Kingpin, we are looking exclusively at the Hawkeye version. So the fact that Kingpin's the greatest MCU villain of all time is not going to factor into this decision. We're looking at him just from the few minutes of screen time he had in Hawkeye. And this dude is going in B either way, because he's that cool. I love Kingpin. I love that Hawaiian shirt. I like to think that's his way of getting decorative. And he's like, yeah, this is what you do. So we have him in B. And that fight with Kate Bishop where he just snaps all the arrows, rips the car door off, tanks an arrow to the chest, tanks an explosion, then gets shot in the eyes and lived, because that's how it goes in the comics. Trust me, they didn't kill Kingpin. Of course he's going in B. He's a badass. Now, if this was if Netflix stuff was included, he would be S. He's like the best MCU villain. Kazzy. I don't know with these three. Actually, I can tell you right now where he's gonna go. Let's just do him now. Tracksuit Mafia is just there to kill time. So we have Kazzy and Ekko left. Now, Kazzy is interesting in the comics. Kazzy's not interesting in the show, and I think they kind of forgot to flesh out Kazzy. Ekko, on the other hand, actually did get some fleshing out. I think C is good for her. She's kind of middle of the road, because she has her motives to be hunting Hawkeye. She has her reasoning to be doing what she's doing, and her twist into hero is cool. I think she's a pretty middle of the road character. Well, there you guys have it. We did it. We got to the bottom. This is a very big tier list, so I can't even fit the whole thing on screen. But I'll give you guys a couple things here. S tier: Loki, Wenwu, Thanos, Green Goblin, Scarlet Witch. Not in that order. If we were putting them in order, I'll show you how it would look. I'm not doing this for anything besides S tier, because I just don't, just plain and simple, I don't want to. No, oh my god. That's how my S tier would look. And then we have, A, B, C, D, F, Children of Thanos, everyone except Ebony Maw, because Ebony Maw is so cool. Giant CGI monster, Goliath, Dormammu, the dragon from Shang-Chi, Surtur, Arishem, Gargantos, and Amit, because that's what they are, just giant CGI inconvenience monsters. Just there to kill time is just all the little henchmen that are there for no reason besides wasting time. And in Malakith tier, we have Malakith and the Supreme Intelligence. Woo! That was very long. That took a while. 45 minutes, in fact, I was putting characters on that tier list. So, yeah. But I did it. I did it. So what do you guys? Do you guys agree with my tier list? Did I offend anyone by saying the Supreme Intelligence is a horrible villain? Because she is. Just about everything Captain Marvel sucks. I'm going to go do, speaking of Captain Marvel, I'm going to go do my hero tier list in a minute here. So I'm not sure which one I'm going to put up first, but they'll both be up there within like probably a week apart. But yeah, there you guys go. That's my villain tier list. I'll flash the whole thing on screen there one more time for you. Yeah, leave your thoughts down in the comments below. Also, leave a like on this video, subscribe, click on the bell icon to receive all notifications from the MCU HQ. That's going to be it. Have a great day, guys.